Yeah. Realize that it's all. Realize that it's all lies. I realize that it's all lies. Woke up, I realized that it's all lies. Woke up, I realized that it's all lies. Nowadays everyone living artificial. I wish the truth would hit you, but you believe what you issue. Punching everything that they give you, it's on your menu. It ain't always beneficial, yo, remember who against you. They fill the hood with lead and I ain't talking about no pencil. They wanna poison your mental, what do it take to convince you? Your body is your temple, yo, knowledge is essential. It's hard to get to college, but not to cop a pistol. The problem's getting worse, and it's probably the system. We all go through that struggle, every color of the prism. You won't make it far with the mentality of a victim. Don't take it to the heart, it's just simple criticism. They selling us the guns to go fund a private prison. Hollywood produce the violence that they showing to the children. So when they go to school, they got the police in the building. Separate them by their melanin and labeled as a villain. We won't acknowledge wounds, how we ever gonna heal them? It's a problem when the country outraged over kneeling. A day don't go by without a necessary killing. But we stand by, yelling world star, keep filming. Likes over life, right? Yeah, that's more fulfilling. How the social media have control over your feelings. They stealing everything that always made us human beings. And they forced us to adopt the history of Europeans. Stole all of that knowledge, then displayed it in museums. They dropped a lot of bombs, but I won by a Korean. Funny thing about the truth, it don't need your agreements. Just keep an open mind. You don't need to be a genius, cause nowadays we taught not to trust our senses. So when you hear the truth, still straddling the fence. It only become true if there's a popular consensus. Mention someone's beliefs, they always get defensive. Not trying to be offensive, but that lie is so extensive. Turned a couple wrenches and they built themselves a rocket. Flew up in the sky, but no curve in the horizon. But you ain't know the truth because the logo symbolize it. No photos of the earth, bro, only a composite. No sympathizing that moon landed was all acting. Recruiter Stanley Kubrick and commenced the cinematics. Aluminum foil made up their lunar apparatus. Defying gravity, swinging around like acrobatics. Tied up to their waists where their harness and that strap is. Then they get you further from the truth with mathematics. Take the T off a planet, they playing with semantics. You never do the research, how you ever understand it? They landed on the moon and said the technology vanished. I think I'm speaking English, you just listen in Spanish. I think I'm speaking English, you just listen in Spanish.
But my legs heavy, I don't get it. How come I haven't hit it already? Still working, I'm still learning, I'm still searching, finally earning something, finally turning something called a profit. If I hear you talking shit, don't get caught in it. I'll be popping off and hit your ass, dropping all your shit. Yeah, I promise this, I got promises. You ain't stopping this, cross my shit, you'll be knocked unconscious, bitch. That's the consequence, I got this, I will not quit. Man, I'm on it, honest. I'm gonna launch quick, then I'm gone. It's just a matter of time before I'm over the climb and moving under my prime. Just quit my 9 to 5, I'm rocking, and they watching, cause it's shocking. Dropping all these top 10 songs, so stopping. It's time to live my life, it's time to live, not die. Wish I could slow down time and just enjoy the climb.
What is up, people? God damn, it's been a long time. Whew, if you guys knew the problems I was dealing with this damn computer, it's all good now. All is fixed. I even got guarantees from computer tech guys. So, got a lot to get into. Man, I've been trying to get this information out for a long time. Right when I got all the information I needed, I messed up. I personally messed up and did some upgrades on my computer myself and basically fried it. So I had to basically start all over again. Not just OBS. Everything. Every program, every setting, everything I had to start over on. So It's definitely been a very rough 2 weeks on me. I have been kind of, talking about this bits and pieces around, and it's information everybody needs to know. So I definitely wanted to say this. Any of my mods, any of the new people, I completely took off my little stream bot, so don't worry, he won't go crazy for no reason at all. And also, I would like to ask, no banning. Um, there's a couple people here. You guys know who you are. Go ahead and ban if necessary. But for the most part, I'd like everybody who's here, globe, flat Earth, unless they're concave, boot them the fuck out. Anyway, but the topic on the stream, and it's going to be a real quick topic. I'm going to get through it all, and then I'm going to open the panel up. But my main thing I want to talk about right now is the solar radiation management. It is geoengineering. As you guys have heard me say 1,000 times, geoengineering is banned under the London Treaty and the Biodiversity Treaty, along with the Paris Agreement, which kind of dives in and out of ways it can be used, whatnot, along with the NMOD, which is mainly a military treaty saying that you can't use weather modification as a weapon. Okay, so now that we got that covered, comes out to this is the now main issue. The fact that for years, and let me say this right now, it's going to trigger some people. I'm going to be using the word chemtrail for this reason, because it is chemtrails that we are discussing. Now here's the little clarification of everything. I do not believe in nanobots. I do not believe they're trying to control the population with these things. Why? Because they could be injecting you with something at the doctor's office, in our drinking water, in our food. It would work far better than spraying it in the air and have these dismal numbers that we see of people who believe that is the case. So, with that said, if you hear me say chemtrails, I am not talking about it from that other side. I'm talking about it strictly on the fact that these are chemical trails being used in our atmosphere, period. Now, alright, what's up, Jay? Sasha? The Cynic's in the house. I saw you went live the other day, so I'm happy about that. What's up, Charlie? So let me get into this real quick, because like I said, it's been a rough 2 weeks, and all I've wanted to do is live stream and get this out. Just want to make sure everyone can hear me. Audio's good. No one's buffering too bad. If you are, don't watch it in HD. You ain't looking at nothing yet. But with that said, guys, let's get started. I wanted to kind of give a good idea of what I am talking about to the people who have no clue. So, as you guys have heard, most of you, I hope by now, the IPCC, which is basically the environmental group that collaborates all the scientists that studies climate, or the climate change and greenhouse gases, and they basically let us know what they've compiled. They gave us 12 years. 12 years means 2030. Now, what they're asking is, let's keep it real. It's impossible, okay? And it's impossible based on the fact that not one of us, not me, no one in my chat that I can tell, no one, the majority of people on Earth are not going to be willing to basically walk everywhere. You're not going to want to give up all the finer things in life, correct? And that is not to anybody's blame. 99% of us were all born into this wonderful technology, and they've kind of made us dependent on it. For instance, we are all right now using electrical products that, hey, it took a lot of CO2 to get these things to us, made, etc., etc. So, with that said, understand this. When it comes to climate change, I kind of play both sides on it. It is not what they are claiming it to be. It is measurable amount of CO2 and other pollutants that we have put in, but we are not to blame for the crisis they're saying we're in right now. So, like I said, they gave us till 2012. What they want by 2030 is for us to be using 45% less fossil fuels and obviously more natural fuels. By 2050, they expect us to be on 0 fossil fuels. Now, understand, there's a give and take when it comes to this climate change, climate solutions. As of right now, they're stating that we are 1 degree above average because of the CO2 readings that they're getting. And they've come up with some wonderful solutions. Now, as of the past, 6 months or so, maybe a year, you start hearing about these things. So they make it seem like this solar management, solar radiation management idea is brand new, and they're working on it. For those of you who don't know, that is basically spraying sulfite, mixed with ground fine chalk and water into our stratosphere. What it will do is basically make a layer of this chemical that will blanket Earth, blocking out the sun, not allowing the sun rays to get in. Obviously, without the sun, the Earth will then cool, bringing us down that 1 degree or 2, whatever they're trying to say, and out of this terrible situation that they say we'll be in if we get to 1.5 degrees Celsius or 2 degrees above the average. Now, where do I start? There's one situation that they're not telling you. One, the leading companies, the companies, I'd say 80%, and this number is estimated because it's impossible for me to know every company and what they're doing. But from what I've researched, 80% of the oil companies in the United States are the leading companies in the technology of capture and storage. If you don't know what capture and storage is basically when they're running their machines, their pumps, their filters, everything on these oil fields and refinery plants, they're producing all these greenhouse gases. Well, they've put these things, basically are scrubbers, on their and attach them to their machines, and they capture as much of the pollutants, CO2, nitrogen, everything they can in these scrubbers. Now, that's okay. At least they're trying, right? Well, those of you who don't know, 3 years ago, Obama signed another presidential act allowing 34 sites in the United States for capture and storage. This is where they capture the CO2 and they inject it into the ground. I personally call it reverse fracking. If you know what fracking is, it's exactly that, but in reverse, they put the gases in. Now, that plays along with some other geoengineering that I will get into. But for the most part, it's a science, and here's the main caveat of this whole discussion. It's not me. It's not those other chemtrail people saying this. This is actual science backed up with data, short-term, small data, saying that geoengineering is too unknown to be used. We don't know enough about it. We don't know at all what will happen down the road. But what we have seen will only allow us to believe it will be bad. Okay? Understand that. And I'll get into that. Now, like I explained what SRM is, solar radiation management. Now, where did they get this idea? this idea was actually brought to him via volcanoes. A lot of you guys know, because there's been a lot of talk about how volcanoes produce a lot of this CO2. Well, they also produce this blanket effect that they're so interested in doing. So, to be as specific as I can about the best instance of them being able to record and research this idea is Mount Pinatubo, 1991. I believe it was the second largest volcano eruption that we've recorded or been able to record. Well, it was so large, it actually played a large component in our climate for 3 years, 91 through 93. It actually changed our climate worldwide. Drop down so remember that big number, we want to get down below the 1 Celsius that we are now. Well, this volcano spewed, we're going to throw some numbers now, 20 million tons of sulfur dioxide. And there are some instances of this 20 million that was 200 meters thick in the sky, and it reached the stratosphere. So they knew once it gets to the stratosphere, the sun is blocked out, and it did cover this world, covered everywhere. Not not all at once, but for over 3 years, it lingered around, and it did enough to cool us 0.5 degrees Celsius, half a degree Celsius. Now, and it sounds like, oh, okay, that will work. Here's the thing. On average, it brought Earth down 0.5 degrees Celsius. But on the other hand, there's always a give and take. When this happens, and a volcano of this magnitude erupts, say it erupts in the northern hemisphere, what ends up happening is, get this, less hurricanes, less cyclones. It's good. When it happens in the south, though, ready? More cyclones, more hurricanes, and drought. They have recorded this. There is actually a significant amount of places that actually go through a drought for 6 months to a year based on what happens in the southern hemisphere. Okay? So that's just just to give you an idea of how volcanoes play when it comes to our atmosphere or our climate. Now, how close are we to doing this? Well, I wish I could tell you that they just started. I wish I could tell you that this is their grandiose idea and they're ready to get pumping to try it out. But I can't. Not only are they spraying, they're been spraying for, I'd say, about 10 years now. Now, when I say spraying, when I say for 10 years now, no, they are not doing this mass production spray that it would take to do what they want. Okay? And mind you, I'm going to give you the numbers of what that would take. Now, there are at least 5 collegiate colleges, Harvard, Oxford, Arizona, I don't think Arizona is one, Stanford is one. All these colleges, they have geoengineering programs. Now, before I started, I went, okay, why would you have a geoengineering program if you're not planning to do geoengineering? Right? Okay, here we go. Well, the main group of this stream is going to be ScopEx. I suggest everyone Google it, check it out, research it, because they're here. Not only are they here, they're the ones leading in this technology needed to do the solar radiation management. As of right now, they are planning to start their field tests, which means they will be using chemicals. They state that they will be starting off using inert chemicals that they will not be using in the end. As research goes on, that is when they plan on using sulfur, grounded chalk, and water. It's a mixture that basically keeps it in the stratosphere. The reason they're putting it in the stratosphere is because there's no climate, or there is climate, but there's less climate, less winds, there's no rain, so it will stay up there much, much longer. Now, let's get into the company that we're dealing with. So, like I said, it's ScopEx. They're planning to start at the World View Spaceport. This is in Tucson, Arizona. If any of you guys don't know, I'll go ahead and pull up an image of it so you guys can get a real good idea of where this place is, because it's going to matter based on why they're able to do this and what it took for them to get away with doing it, pretty much. Because I do remind you guys, it's illegal. They're not allowed to be doing this stuff. So on your screen right now, you guys are going to see, this is Arizona. The bottom dark area, right in the middle, the very bottom one, is the Odeham Nation. I'm sorry if anybody is part of that nation. I crushed it, I know, I'm sorry. Basically, it's a tribal land. Now, remember, tribal land does not obey by federal law. They have their own set of laws, their own government. Well, sure enough, guess who is allowing this to happen? Why? So the NMOD is illegal for militaries to use weather modification, which isn't geoengineering, as a weapon. When it comes to the other treaties, the London and the Biodiversity Treaty, geoengineering, period, is banned. Now, get this. 2012, the London Treaty revised it and now allows scientific geoengineering on a small scale. But I'll have some more information on that as well. So ScopEx, and for anybody who's just listening, I was answering a question. The question was, is it illegal for all uses or just military uses? So that's kind of where that came from. Now, like I said, where they're going to be doing this is on tribal land. What they're planning to do, let me go ahead and get these images up so you guys can have a real good idea what I'm talking about. ScopEx. There we go. Okay, so this is going to be this is ScopEx. Let me go back. It's been a while. I'm a little rusty on this one. Okay, so ScopEx. What you guys are looking at right now is ScopEx's, or I'm sorry, Worldview Sportsport is the location that you guys are looking at right now. ScopEx launched the very first stratospheric balloon. Now, it may not really seem like much, and it may not even be the highest these balloons go. But this balloon's special because this balloon is an unmanned balloon that can carry chemicals and be controlled via remote. So what they're going to be doing is they're going to be launching this into the stratosphere and releasing what they call a small dose, a mild version of SMR, to test and see how this blanketing effect will adapt. What will it do to the environment? What will it do to the sun ray, the radiation rays, or the sun rays, etc., etc. Now, here's where it gets tricky. So, again, geoengineering is banned under those two treaties unless, scientific research and all that stuff. Now, there's always something that they do that is not okay, And the deniers may be like, that's small, but it's huge, because if it wasn't a big deal, and what I'm talking about is the public notification of all weather modification and or scientific geoengineering. These are laws. These are federal laws that they have to tell us what they're doing. You know how all these conspiracy theorists, Illuminati has to tell us what they're doing. They got that basically from these laws that I will show you the statute of them so you can look them up yourself. There is a law that states there's a certain amount of time before any field test and or project is started that they have to announce it to the public. There is also a results notification that they have to tell the public. How many of you guys have ever in your lives seen these notifications, besides for maybe the few that I've shown you on my stream? Because they're pathetic. They're usually 1 or 2, maybe 3 lines in a newspaper in the bottom corner. You know, like the ones that you have to do like obituaries, something like that, but smaller. Right? So, like I said, so ScopEx is the Harvard University's geoengineering. Let me get the name right. So you guys, when you guys Google it, you guys will have the exact name. So I'm sure you guys all know the name David Keith. He's been the biggest component. He's been the biggest advocate for solar radiation management. He's been everywhere you can think of in the media talking about this. He's probably the one that got geoengineering into the ears of the public, right? So he is the leading. He's the lead man on this project, along with 4 other Harvard professors and 3 others that are part of the geoengineering project. You guys, like I said, you guys can go Google it. ScopEx. Cambridge is part of the rest of the link. Yada yada yada. Okay, so here's the project details. And or actually, before I start that, with this balloon, like I said, this was the first launch at Worldview. This is where I think the fuckery starts, right? You ready? So again, first launch there. These are the news ads that came, from it. Now, this is one of the statements. It says the first ever proposed built stratospheric launch facility in the world. It is now open for business. Worldview founder and CEO Jane Polner. Okay, there we go. Where am I at? Said in a statement, it's no doubt destined to play an important role in attracting new commercial space businesses in Tuscan and the southwest U.S. We are proud to call Spaceport Tuscan our home and primary launch site. Okay, all right. Now, that is the report that came out in Science Direct. So I'm pretty sure you guys know that it's a scientists would get it to kind of hear what's going on around the world and everything. So this report is what came out into the Arizona Times. The Stratolite is still in its demonstration phase and when in full operation, the balloon will be capable of circumnavigating the globe and hovering over the same spot for weeks or months at a time. Customers will therefore be able to use the Stratolite for a variety of purposes, from monitoring natural disasters to helping provide Wi-Fi service. Worldview representatives have said. It's a little different, right? Right? Big difference. I'd say that's some fuckery right there. That's lying. That's bullshitting the public to not, don't worry about it. Now, remember the notification I told you about. It says under U.S. federal law, as of, the MMOD 1976, any modification of weather is required to be reported to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, SNOAA, and the results of research must be made public. It's also another one, just basically stating the times and dates that these notifications need to be put out, because there is time limits and timelines. Every single one. Every single one. Okay, so that is the crux of the beginning of where we're going. We're going to be talking about tonight. Again, scientists in a whole group. I mean, I'm not talking a couple. I'm talking hundreds of scientists. Thousands of scientists are coming out explaining that geoengineering is dangerous. And I'm going to go into what those things are. But what I want to do now is I want to give you guys the exact details of ScopEx. Oh, before I do, I wanted to show you guys this. This is remember I told you guys they're not telling people. This is a local news report that came out when ScopEx first got there. Community's concerns in Arizona involve the fact that Harvard won't confirm the nature of the particulates. Dr. Keith has identified it at times as sulfates, meaning pollutants or aluminum, basically aluminum. So, like I said, it's Harvard is not giving us the information they're supposed to. Either is ScopEx. Now, when we go into what exactly they're doing, it opens your eyes to it a lot more. So, again, solar radiation management. The goal is simple. Prevent some of the sun's rays from hitting the planet's surface, forcing them instead back up into space. Okay, so project details. Basically, like I said, David Keith, he is the lead scientist on this. What they want to do is they want to experiment, understand on the micro level, what the effects would be using different types of particles into the stratosphere to block the sun rays. Launch 1 would be water molecules to make a massive icy plume. 2, using limestone or calcium carbide. And then on the third launch, we'll use sulfate. So basically, they've mapped it out. They told us exactly what they're going to be doing. Now, mind you, this isn't a notification. Guys, this article that I got is from January 2017. Not this year, not any time as of recently. They have been planning for a long time to do their first test in 2018 in Arizona. So as I just said, regulatory status, the UN biodiversity, and also the IMAD and the London one. I know someone in the chat said we're not part of the Paris Agreement. Paris Agreement, no. But we are part of, so here's the kicker. We are not part of the Convention of Biodiversity. We have signed it, but we have not abide by it. We do not acknowledge that it is law. But here's the thing. The UN does sanction us if we did do it. So that's why these things are kind of hush-hush. And you'll see it in a second. So again, these are the key dates. The project was initially was discussed and put into fruition in 2015. Their research, they figured, would last from 2017, which is when they started moving in, and the first launch of the balloon, to field tests from 2017 to 2024. Again, seems kind of, if we have until 2030 to have achieved so much, you would think 6 years won't be enough, or even close to enough. Okay, so I told you guys about the tribe where they'll be doing this technology. These are things that they had to do, which no one heard about, to be able to get away with this. The Odam Nation represents a handful of the tribal governments have lived in the area around the Worldview spaceport for thousands of years. Reservations where the tribal governments exercise extra constitutional sovereignty under U.S. law to cover a vast area of southern Arizona, with traditional territories expanding into Mexico. For example, blah, 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 20 minutes from the spaceport, while the sovereign rights of tribal governments over airspace to an emerging large area, the Air Force and others have signed a memorandum of understanding with the tribal governments about their use of the Odam airspace, indicating that the government agencies are aware that they have some rights. One lawyer has made it a pursuit case that tribal governments have sovereignty over what happens in the airspace over their lands. So the possible impacts that that ScopEx has given us. The environmental effects of ScopEx are mostly unknown. Project's website claims that the amounts released by the project will be very small compared to the other routine releases of materials into the stratosphere by aircrafts, rockets, and routine balloon flights. However, the political effects of the project are easier to predict. As governments continue to fall short of climate targets, David Keith and other geoengineers will be able to point to research findings and bolster to the case for large geoengineering experiments. However, there are not dispassionate scientists, but enterprising backed by venture capital who stand to become fabulously wealthy if governments should opt to move forward with SRM. And if ScopEx moves forward, it will contribute to entrenching technology, capital, and public relation power of government or geoengineering and diverse resources away from real climate solutions. Again, if they pull this off, they're going to be rich beyond their belief based on just developing the technology to get it off the ground. And here's the fun part, the funding. The funding is obviously comes from the Harvard University and its Solar Geoengineering Research Program, which is funded by Bill Gates, several venture capitalists, hedge fund higher-ups, and former senior VP of Google. The Hewitt and Alfred P. Sloan Foundations, and the fun part, a foreign policy research center with military ties. All right, so that's the gist of what's going on. Like I said, I've been talking to a few people, and a lot of people have heard this guy, David Keith, because he's been a big component of geoengineer for a while now, and basically, they will tell you, deniers will tell you that no, that they've talked about that for years and they didn't allow it. Well, the thing is though he did try 2 times before, and Congress or government wouldn't let him even think about it. Reason? Because there was a project named SPICE. Yes, SPICE. The British government funded the same type of project, and they actually tried to get it off the ground without telling anybody. That's right. So those of you who live over there, you have been sprayed. Again, so David Keith talks about this, and he's a very big component in letting people know what's going on, which is odd because I think he mainly wants to take the blame off of him. So he says, after media revealed Keith's own experiment, it too was canceled, and Keith shifted energies into new incorporations of the project in early 2017. He helped launch Harvard's Solar Geoengineering Research Program, backed by several million in funding by billionaires and private federations. Now Keith is covering his bases politically. He claims the amount of particulates released into will be small in the attempt to win support among civilian society. The project says it'll have independent advisory processes for the experiments. Basically, handpicked. This is in keeping with what constitutes a problem with all small-scale experiments like this: the slow and careful accountability of mainstream blah 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 blah. For large-scale experiments in solar geoengineering into the media, scientific bodies, and industries of governance, both regionally and globally, ultimately lead toward full deployment. So that's what SpaceX is doing. Now, we're not done, unfortunately, because when I read about SpaceX, I figured that's what they're doing. There's more. Yes, there is definitely more. There are other wonderful ideas they have for us. I'm going to play a couple clips so you guys can see exactly what I mean when I say that they have other ideas. And also, you'll get an idea of what the solar radiation management will take. So this one is the first one. This is an idea they came up with to block the sun.
Some more realistic than others. The most sci-fi of all the solutions proposes that we place some form of sunshade in space, like the one proposed by Gregory Benford. He recognized the potential of Lagrange point 1, an area between the Earth and the Sun where the gravitational forces between the Sun and the Earth allow an object in that position to remain in that position. Here, a sunshade would provide a constant reduction in solar radiation, but placing a solid sunshade that would cause a massive shadow roving over the Earth's surface every day is obviously not a reasonable solution. Instead,
so that's the first one. Obviously ridiculous. The second one is some kind of James Webb telescope. I have no idea what it would even do, but because they use this as an idea, I wanted you guys to see it.
but considering the James Webb telescope, an object vastly smaller than this lens, itself cost $10 billion. I would say Benford's calculations are more science fiction than science fact.
So, $10 billion, and I don't think anybody knows what that damn thing will do. And this is the best of this guy's ideas for what we could do besides for what we're working on now.
Benford proposed using a concave Fresnel lens, which would not completely block out the sun, but diffuse its light. A Fresnel lens is a compact lens designed to minimize the weight and bulk of the material required to make it. It takes advantage of the fact that light is only deflected as it passes between the boundary of mediums. Therefore, the thickness of lens material really doesn't matter, only its geometry. So a traditional lens can be drastically reduced in weight, like so. He estimated that a lens with a 1,000 kilometer diameter could reduce the solar energy reaching Earth by 0.5 to 1%, at an initial cost of about $10 billion, a far cry from the prices required for our previously discussed method of carbon capture through afforestation of the.
So those are the ideas that they have. Now we do have the last one, which is the solar radiation management, but on the large scale. And I want you guys to make sure you listen to the numbers that this guy is going to explain.
For stratospheric aerosol injection. This method seeks to recreate the global cooling effects the world experiences during massive volcanic eruptions, like those of 1991 when Mount Pinatubo erupted, the largest stratospheric disturbance in a century, in a time when we had the tools to measure its impact. This eruption not only blew 500 feet of the mountain's peak off, it also injected an estimated 15 million tons of sulfur dioxide into the stratosphere, where it reacted with the water vapor to form sulfuric acid. Atmospheric physics is definitely not my area of expertise, so I asked my friend Simon Clark, who has a PhD in the subject, to explain.
The sulfuric acid which formed in the atmosphere in the aftermath of the Pinatubo eruption had a substantial effect on global climate. In the 15 months following the eruption, the global average surface temperature decreased by 0.6 degrees Celsius, and this happened for two reasons. Firstly, the small droplets of sulfuric acid which formed in the atmosphere after the eruption reflected short wavelengths of radiation. Now, the sun mostly emits short wavelengths of radiation, so the sulfuric acid reduced the amount of radiative energy from the sun which reached the surface of the Earth. Thanks to the first law of thermodynamics, with the same amount of energy being thermally radiated out to space by the Earth, but less energy coming in from the sun, the Earth's global average temperature decreased.
You will need to send millions of tons of material. It's not a clever option. Others who have obviously not considered not only the cost, engineering impossibility, and energy required to pump the materials to that height, have proposed giant towers. Ultimately, the easiest method would be the tried and true method of hauling tons of liquid to the stratosphere with a refueling plane like the KC-10, which will be able to run multiple missions a day and carry 160 tons with each flight. This is a realistic solution that humans could employ quickly in dire straits, but at what cost to our planet? Once we start this program, we cannot stop until we reduce our concentration of greenhouse gases in our atmosphere, which itself will take years if not decades of disciplined work around the world. We will need multiple of these aircraft spraying millions of tons of pollutant into our atmosphere to counteract the other pollutants we have released, some more realistic than others.
Now, to put into full perspective of what he explained, millions of emissions, not just millions of tons of the sulfur stuff that they spray. Emissions. Now, what they're not telling us is, like I explained to you guys, with the northern hemispheres and the southern hemispheres due to volcano activity, it may cool one area, but it will mess up a different area, hence why it's geoengineering. And they know for a fact that just because there's a blanket doesn't mean it's going to cool it. They have stated on numerous, if you guys research Yellowstone, if what would happen if it blew, they predict that the cloud of sulfur that will blanket Earth will heat Earth up. Why? Because the heat won't be able to escape, which they're not explaining to us in these reports, experiments, etc. As to what we could do about it, there isn't really much except for the knowledge of it happening, and or when they do start getting out the effects that can happen and stopping it maybe later on down the road. When it comes to why they're doing these things, it's pretty simple. I've stated it 1,000 times. Fossil fuel companies will never put themselves out of business. So why are they the ones so gung-ho about this zero emissions goal? I've told you, I just recently read about the ScopEx guys. They're trying to cash in. And it says it. If they come up with this technology, they will be wealthy. Why would that need to be there? It's frustrating because for a long time I've been saying that they've been doing this type of stuff, and you hear the deniers telling you over and over again that it's not real. It's real. It's really happening. Most of you guys, I've probably told a lot of people already. I'm going on Red soon. I've been on Reds before where they denied up the ass that this was happening, and there's more than enough proof now. There's more than enough of these companies and these institutes and these programs doing it and saying they're doing it to shut that bullshit up. So when I'll post that out when I'm going to be on there. Hopefully someone around here may know him or message him, or maybe Sean or someone is listening. Hey, get ready because it's happening. And I'm not here to prove it to you guys. I'm here to inform everybody. As far as I'm concerned, Reds will be my platform. I can give a shit less about debating what's happening. I've been streaming for a while now. There's more than enough for these people to realize this is going on. Stop just being deniers to deny. Now, it gets worse because there are other ideas that these people have. They talk about the Arctic ice caps, how they're melting down. This is a GIF from 1981 to I believe 2003 that shows exactly what the Arctic has been doing over the past 20 plus years. It's the same thing consistently. The ice melts, the water freezes over and it builds. The realization is this: it does that. We've been through ice ages. We've been through these heat-stricken times. It's what Earth does. That is why when I say I believe we are playing a factor, but we are not the factor. We are not the ones determining whether or not we survive. It doesn't work that way. We've been only capable of testing for CO2 since 1958. And since 1958, we've had 6 CO2 limit scares. They've been talking about if we hit 400, how bad it would be. People, we've been at 400 for the past 8 years. Why is it now? Why? To me, it's money time. Prove me wrong, deniers. Prove me wrong. I wish you can. I hope you do. So, the wonderful, wonderful idea they have for the Arctic. And this is coming out of Arizona State University, which is ironic because they actually have a lot of heat, not ice. They plan on taking up pumping up the cold water from deep ocean and pumping it onto the existing ice. So therefore, once winter comes, it will freeze and hopefully produce more ice. Now, how much does it cost to make ice? I mean, you would think this is nothing. No, $500 billion for Arizona's idea of taking pumps to the Arctic, pumping cold water onto the existing ice to make more ice. The next one is probably one that they are 100% doing. I know they're doing it because now I've found reports where they're gone from the small scale to the large scale, and that would be the cloud brightening. Basically, they spray particulates over the ocean in the attempt to basically do the same thing as solar radiation management, but instead of blanketing the sun, they want to be able to make the clouds wide enough and these particulates with the aluminum in it to basically bounce the sun rays back up so they don't linger. It's far-fetched. Again, all of these things have an effect on climate, the wildlife, the Arctic pumping. I read stuff about it. If they did that, they would be basically cutting off air supply, food routes for seals and numerous pneumatic whales that use these breaks in the ice for air. Yeah, they'll be screwed. The cloud brightening, it puts aluminum basically into the sea, which makes it acidic or acidic. There you go, acidic. Amongst others, there's direct CO2 capturing. That's literally getting CO2 out of the air, and unfortunately, they can do it, but they're still producing. Again, every single one of these projects that I just named, they all produce more pollution than they capture. Now, in the chat, I got someone asking me, let's be honest, will they ever be implemented on a large scale? Yes, 100%. Ocean fertilization. I would not say a mass large scale where they're doing it everywhere, but they are doing it. From ocean fertilization, you get red tides. from red tides, you get dead zones, the die off of many aquatic wildlife because they put out a chemical that kills. Also, the water becomes acidic after red tides. They have other ones called enhancing weather, where they used it's a natural rock called oliverin. Basically, they demolish it, crush it up, and basically dump it in the water, and it would take the acidity away, but it would also basically put a barrier on the water level so CO2 couldn't be absorbed into the water. Problem with that is you're now cutting off photosynthesis to the aquatic life that does use it. There's one called BEEC. It's a bioenergy carbon capture and storage. This is where they use basically, you put trash and you let it decompose. Well, it's that, but instead of burying it in dirt, they would basically liquefy it and store it in the ground. How they do that, that one was new to me, so I'm not 100% sure on that one. Now, there are others, but I have zero research in them, so I'm not going to talk about them yet. I'm not done by a long shot, people. I'm not done researching ScopEx. I'm not done at all. This is the beginning. This is what I wanted to do 2 weeks ago. I apologize that all the crap with my computer happened and I couldn't. So it kind of looked like I disappeared, but I didn't. The only advantage I did have is that I got to research for 2 weeks and really compile the evidence that I felt I needed to present to you guys. Again, I did kind of skip over a little bit here and there just to keep it going, and I didn't want to bore people. But I'm going to touch on all these on the next live streams. Now that my computer's up and going, there's no excuse for me to not be around and you guys not hearing more and more information. I will open the panel. If no one wants to join, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sign off. But if you guys want to come on, ask some questions, you're more than welcome to. If you want to ask questions in the chat, go right ahead. Anything that I've talked about, anything that you may want to talk about, period. Because like I said, there is so much to discuss about this that I couldn't possibly ever get it all out. While I go ahead and get that hangout going, I want you guys to watch this video. This is a video from an oil company, or it's actually a gas company. It's called Linden Group. Now, they do more. I'm not sure if you guys who was here for the last one when I did a bunch of reporting on the Petronova and how the U.S. government gave them a bunch of money and how they make it seem how they're all in for helping this climate initiative, right? So this is Linden Group. I'm going to share it with you guys so you guys see it. The Linden Group. Welcome. There's a couple of videos I want you guys to watch. The first one is a splendid one where they let you know fossil fuels are not going anywhere. But listen, because they play both sides. It's fucking sickening.
Acids such as carbon dioxide and nitrogen can be effectively applied in tertiary recovery, also known as enhanced oil and gas recovery, which can increase the recovery factor to as high as 70%. The use of both carbon dioxide and nitrogen is widely accepted as proven and continues to be applied with great success.
All right, so I had a question that I have no problem answering. I had a question in the chat basically asking me, says, have you found any evidence that says this isn't going to happen and just skipped over it? Be honest now. I'm going to be as honest as I can. Yes and no. Yes, in the fact that scientists even these project managers are saying, we do not know what the effects, and I said this, we don't know what the effects will be down the road. Same reason why geoengineering is banned. The problem is one, if we're in a rush, if they're in a rush like they say they are, they're gonna do them. If there's that much money involved, they're gonna do it. So the only way I could see possible that they won't is if enough people start talking about it and start talking about, hey, what about these negative effects? Because here's the thing, I can report to you guys the good and the bad, but if there's bad, what good is what good is the positives of it if there's only a couple positives? So they start spraying. They start blanketing the sun. Now remember that guy said they have to keep going until we lower the temperature. Why? Because if we do it, then you just have a bunch of sulfur or sulfite in the atmosphere, which does eventually make its way down for nothing. Okay? Well, we also know that depending on where it's being blanketed will affect another area. They're not talking about it. What they're not saying is also, like I said about the Yellowstone, if enough is covered, it then holds the heat in, and then temperature rises, which they have reports on. You can look those up. So to answer your question, I'm going to be as honest with you guys as possible, because I'm not giving you my side. I'm not calling these streams the truth because it's catchy. Because I felt like what I was getting was some truth, some bias, and I can't learn that way, and I'm assuming you guys don't want to learn that way either. So yeah, I'm going to give you everything. I made it clear, they're not giving us the information they're supposed to. That could come down to haunt them. The problem is, here's the big problem. Government is too involved in fossil fuels. Fossil fuels are too involved in fossil fuels. How do you cling on to this whole CO2 capturing, better emissions, while boasting how much oil you have now? And that's why I wanted to play these videos. There's 2 videos. I'll break them up. But the video guys I just started was them telling you exactly how capturing carbon and how they use it to produce more. And they tell you how much more they produce while telling you about that zero emissions goal.
Where do these gases come from? Carbon dioxide is produced from natural gas fields, chemical complexes, refineries, and power plants. Linde has experience in all major carbon capture technologies. Ambient air consists of 78% nitrogen, which makes it available anywhere and at any time. Nitrogen is separated from the air by air separation plants using a cryogenic process. To date, Linde has built more than 2,800 air separation plants, more than any other company in the world. The compressed air is first filtered, pre-cooled, and then purified by absorption. Next, the air is cooled to a liquefaction temperature of -182 degrees Celsius in cold boxes, a core component of the cryogenic process. After that, the rectification column separates nitrogen from the rest of the air. The final product, nitrogen, is compressed in the last step. Then, it can be pipelined to oil, gas, or condensate fields. Backed by outstanding engineering and operations expertise, Linde has the capability to design, build, own, and operate nitrogen supply facilities at any scale, from as little as 1 ton to tens of thousands of tons per day. Today, Linde is an established partner to oil and gas companies supplying nitrogen to the world's largest improved oil and enhanced gas recovery projects. The joint venture Elixir between Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, ADNOC, and Linde provides nitrogen for the pressure maintenance of ADNOC's condensate fields at Habshan, Abu Dhabi. Linde implemented a customized on-site solution delivering the highest levels of quality and reliability while complying with the strictest safety standards and achieving an impeccable safety record of 0 accidents. Commissioned in 2011, the plant delivers 20,000 tons of nitrogen per day, which is equivalent to 600 million standard cubic feet. To improve oil recovery for Mexico's national oil company Pemex, Linde built the largest multi-train nitrogen production complex in the world. Cantarell, one of the world's largest oil fields, is offshore in the Gulf of Mexico. The air separation plant generates 50,000 tons of nitrogen per day, which is equivalent to 1.5 billion standard cubic feet, with less than 10 parts per million oxygen, and delivers this gas through an onshore and a 100-kilometer subsea pipeline at 130 bar. Built within a nature preserve, this facility uses natural gas to generate its own power, seawater for cooling, and even potable water. It is self-sufficient for operations and many maintenance tasks. Linde has established true leadership in operational excellence and guarantees the highest standards in reliability, quality, and safety for the oil and gas industry. As a one-stop shop, Linde provides customized solutions. Linde is proud to have achieved reliable gas supply at the highest level for decades, offering integrated solutions at customer locations around the world.
Man, I wanna give him the Nobel Prize. No, wait, not the Nobel Prize. The Oscar, because that was some fucking acting. Wow. Yeah, Sasha, you brought up a great point. The CO2, they use the is the CO2 that they use to separate the nitrogen, right? So, if you guys don't know what the fluorine that I just typed in the chat, this stuff is crazy. Not only is it crazy, it's actually banned in certain places from being used. Let's check this out. So let's go ahead and play it because I haven't even started opening that Hangout. I'm gonna do that right now.
The long-term development of clean energy solutions that will be key for sustainable growth. We can get there in many ways. Off the coast of Norway, we developed and built Europe's largest natural gas liquefaction plant under some of the strictest environmental regulations. To take gas exploration further, we and our partners are developing floating LNG factories out in the open sea. Now, it's possible to tap smaller, isolated reserves wherever they're found and bring the liquefied gas to where it's needed, economically. Natural gas is the cleanest fossil fuel, and when liquefied at -162 degrees Celsius, it can easily be transported anywhere. To heat homes, generate electricity, to fuel road and maritime transportation. No wonder it's becoming more popular. The global demand for energy is expected to double by 2050. Coal is going to be indispensable for the next few decades. Keeping it clean will be critical. Carbon capture and storage can help tackle climate change. Our clean technology helps power plants rise to the challenge by capturing CO2 before and after combustion. But what more can we do with CO2? Which got us thinking, what if we take the CO2 we emit and use it to grow plants? So we did. We teamed up with a partner in the Netherlands to supply over 550 greenhouses with recycled CO2 from a refinery, enabling an additional growing season. And why stop there? By feeding CO2 to blue-green algae under the right conditions, our partners can use them to produce environmentally sound biofuels, a serious improvement.
That's ocean fertilization right there.
Today, large-scale solar panels can be mass-produced. We supply specialty gases like fluorine to help improve the production.
Now, he just said it, fluorine. Watch how wonderful he makes fluorine. And then wait until I. Matter of fact, look up fluorine when you're done. When you're out of here.
We're just getting started, and the future looks bright. In California, for example, we've teamed up with a major waste management company to develop a system that converts landfill gas into fuel for waste disposal trucks, reducing their carbon footprint and making them cheaper to operate. It's the largest biogas production facility of its kind in the world. And it's beautiful. The trash runs on trash. All said and done, the lightest element in the universe might have the biggest impact. Hydrogen, the 21st century fuel for mobility without emissions. An excellent medium for storing electricity from renewable sources. And an exciting opportunity for growth. Linda has the will, the technology, and the expertise to play a leading role. We've joined forces with premier companies in private and public transportation to pave the way for our hydrogen future.
Wow. So, fluorine is a chemical element, symbol F, and atomic number 9. It is the lightest halogen and exists as a highly toxic pale yellow diatomic gas of standard conditions. As the most electronegative element, it is extremely reactive as it reacts with almost all other elements except for helium and neon. Again, guys, this stuff is banned in certain places. Exactly. Thank you. So I'm not crazy. So, yes, that company did just promote that they are using this stuff, which, again, like I said, is banned in certain areas. Get to it. Toxicity. I mean, when I read this, I was like, what are they thinking? But they promote that thing like it is the most wonderful thing on earth. Yeah. So, like I said, got that link, got the, actually, let me go ahead and fix it real quick. I do have the Hangout ready to go. I messed up my window, so it's going to look like this for a second. Hang on. There it is. Good old-fashioned window, right back up and going. So, like I said, guys, that's about everything I wanted to present for now, because there is going to be a shit ton more. Like I said, if you want to come in and chat it out, more than welcome to come on, and we'll talk. We'll have a discussion, answer some questions, yada yada yada. If not, I'm going to end the stream, and then I'll probably be on, maybe tomorrow, hopefully, because I got a lot to say. I'm going to say a lot. Again, guys, there are times I may misinterpret something, but it will be easily catchable. I'll be able to catch it. But when I'm talking about this shit, there is no bias amongst. I mean, there is, because I don't want negative shit happening. But I'm not coming from a place where I'm convincing anybody. I'm only getting this information out for you guys to go look for yourselves. Every link that I've used for today will be in the description of the stream after the stream, so you guys can do all the research and see where I got my stuff at. And I implore you, please go do more. And if you get past me, let me know. You can come on and talk about it. I don't care. It's regardless. I just want this information that's not being readily available to everybody to be told. That's it. So here's the link to the chat. If you guys want to jump in, more than welcome, like I said. What else is there? Stuff on the agenda. So, some other things going on. Um, I did get so there would be like little side things. So, when it came to SpaceX, I actually came across some reports that like they were jumping around trying to find locations. Um, but that all ended up just kind of circling back, right back to the Worldview spaceport. Um, it, it's it's amazing to me that so much. I mean, I didn't like. I've always done research on these type of things, but I didn't realize how much like information was out there about these large entities. You know, Harvard. That's a that's a big deal. I mean, the people that are funding them are the richest. Like they're the richest. They know if Bill Gates is involved and these other hedge fund uh, guys are involved, you know they can see that there's money to be made. I actually I have not. I'm just getting back into things. Um, I did finish that little map thing I was telling you about FPV. So, but like I said, I literally last night my computer was back up and running, like actually fully functional. Today was the first test. I'm just getting back into the swing of things, and then I've been engulfed in this research right here. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I'll check it out. Um, what else is there? But like I said, look who's involved in these situations, and it plays a big part of it. This guy, David Keith, he literally spills the beans on everything. They have been spraying for a while. He claims them as experiments. I'm sorry, experiments, field experiments, or the full scale. Regardless, it's not okay. Wait, okay. I know I have not actually. That's one I have not heard of. I will write it down as I'm writing it down right now, and I'm gonna research that, and I'll probably end up talking about it tomorrow. Um, is that as a capture storage? Sorry for the quiet, guys. I'm just writing this down real quick. Check the hangout real quick because I got it minimized. All right. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna Google search that real quick with you guys so you guys can also see what it is because I've never heard of it before. And I'm not gonna lie, I really wanted like a denier to come on because believe it or not, it's very enjoyable to me. All right, I know we got somebody. Let me hang on 1 second. Hello. Hey, what's up? All right. So, so Sasha, I've been kind of chatting with you on the Discord quite a bit. So I feel I can be comfortable showing you. So how you doing, sir? So you were saying that you actually knew quite a bit about a certain topic in this situation. Okay. With the guides at its natural, basically. Oh, okay. Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah, and that's the other thing because I'm not sure if you heard the video, and then the last one I did with Petronova. I mean, they have thousands of miles of these pipelines are spanning across the United States. Hmm. Yes, and to me that's what happens when you have dollar signs in front of you instead of the the safety of your employees and the civilians around. Uh,
All they want is the money.
yes, exactly.
Cause these are like $1 trillion a year companies.
Oh, so
They're
they make so much money that they will not report how much money. That was one of the biggest issues I had um, with how they report, because I found out it's not like these government officials that are supposed to do it. That they're not invest doing the inspections on these places. They actually hire their own like group. Like there's a group called the Golden Group that they hire to come do these reports for them, and then publish them. Never have real numbers.
exactly. It's all and they're all in the pockets of politicians. Politicians can get them whatever they want.
If you there's a website, I don't remember it right offhand. I gotta look through my history, but there's a website that actually links, like, shows you the the relationship that each government official in the House of Senate and all the White House, they all have with these different oil companies. It is insane when you see that.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's to me, it's one, it's people that have better things to do than think about this stuff, and that's kind of where I play on, where I want to get the information out. Then you have, unfortunately, we have deniers, and they're gonna deny everything until some sulfur spray
Yeah.
hits them in the face.
And I don't think, in my opinion, that's not the problem. The problem is just that it's oil companies doing it.
Hmm?
Because all the oil companies are going to care about is the money.
Oh yeah, and they're not gonna put themselves out of business. Never gonna happen.
No, they have such a bad business model too. It's it's good for them, but it's horrible in the sense of longevity because their natural gas and clean coal, it's it's not gonna be a viable solution. We're gonna have to switch over,
Yep.
but they don't want to. They're just trying to hang on to it as long as possible
Well,
because they don't
because
want stranded assets.
exactly, and they know where the profit is. Why they're business 101. You don't walk away from profit. You
Yeah,
just don't do it. Um, I personally, I don't think like we know government and these oil companies have they're hand in hand with each other. I personally don't think any one of these solutions will work until it's a solution that they go, we're going to lose a lot of money on this. American people
yeah,
understand. Go ahead.
I don't even think they're gonna use a lot of these solutions. I feel like a lot of them are publicity stunts.
Yes.
Like at least in the video with the guy doing the LNG hydrogen whatnot,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's really just a publicity stunt
But what it
to,
is
to
it
pretend that they're being clean.
yeah, what it does is it validifies a couple of their ideas. The ideas that they're willing to go as strong with, as put the most into. They want people to look at those ideas and go, okay, that's more feasible. But that's also because you're looking at something that's impossible.
Hmm.
It's insane. Um, I tried. And the reality of it is I don't know about you, but I'm nowhere near smart enough to figure out a way to fix things. So
Well, the only way to fix it would be to buy out the stranded assets that would result, but nobody has enough money because oil companies are the richest companies in the world.
Yep. And the only way you could ever possibly have a chance of that is to, engulf yourself into the carbon market. But then again, you're just becoming a problem now.
Hmm.
But no, you're right. Um, I'm not gonna lie. I honestly hope, and I know this is ridiculous, but I hope this climate change shenanigans. I hope it's fake. I hope it's fake as it gets, because,
Hmm.
and seriously, because they're not coming up with solutions that are really gonna work.
Well, the only solution would be the only real solution is um to it is to do solar, wind, and hydro and just develop battery technology.
Exactly, because I'm pretty sure you've heard me say it 1,000 times. The solar they're selling to people is not real solar. Now, I got in an argument with somebody who told me, yes, they make the panels, solar panels, they produce power. Okay, I'm sorry, but here in San Diego, okay, but if you live in like Michigan during the winter, panels are meaningless to you. You need
No, no,
you need a
the,
storage.
uh, yes, if you have storage, it will work.
Yes,
If you don't have storage, it's completely useless.
exactly.
But if you have storage, it still will work in winter.
Yep. Anybody who lives in California, PG&E, the ones that are taking all the blames for the fires and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Guess what? PG&E doesn't even own California's energy rights anymore. Guess who does?
Hmm.
Solarin. And no one talks about these things. I mean, they may act like they're selling it to these, and these guys. Look up Solarin Corp. Space-based technology. And you'll find out real quick the realization of why California's energy is so mixed up and crappy right now.
Well, and the thing is, people say, oh, solar is not a viable option. But even with the solar that we have today, if we can combine it with batteries, we
Oh,
have enough space if we just put it on every rooftop to power the whole world.
oh yeah.
It's not like we don't have the technology.
Oh yeah, 100%. Matter of fact, California is set up 1 billion% for it. Well, kind of. We have the largest solar farms in the world. The problem
And
is go ahead.
if it goes on your roofs as well, then it would be even better.
100%. But the problem is if they sell these batteries, for one, if these batteries do get produced and then they are effective, there's only two choices that could happen. One, the energy market crumbles, or they make crappy batteries that we have to buy over and over again. Those are our choices.
So yeah, and I think that the best way to do it would, because consumers aren't going to buy the batteries; they're too expensive. The best way would have to be an on-grid battery that the energy company owns, and that's what they make a profit off of, and you lease a little bit of that from them, or they own the solar panels on your roof, and you still buy that power.
But see, the problem is that I personally don't think they'll ever come up with a storage large enough for that capacity, or the grid we
Well,
have now. But congressmen and senators have been begging for a new grid system for years for
well,
that reason.
yeah, even if you look at Australia, we have a battery technology even with just what we have today. It's just going to get better. But if you look at Australia, they no longer have blackouts and stuff like that just because of that 100 kilowatt hour battery. No, it wasn't 100. I'm getting my math wrong.
I know what you're
That
talking about, though.
the big Australia battery that they put in,
Mhm.
their grid has been stabilized tremendously. So we have the technology. It's not like we. It's not non-feasible.
Oh no, no, no. Yeah,
We can,
they can't make money on it yet. Is what it is.
well, yeah, make money on it, but there are models that do make money. So if they say they install it for free, and they own what's on your roof, and then you buy that power from them
Yeah,
or lease it off of them for a while until you own it.
but like I said, it's going to come to a point where they are always going to make sure they make their money, and that is the number one problem. Because I honestly, to me, it goes two ways. Either they're completely lying and we're not in any danger, except for maybe another hot summer.
Oh,
Oh,
okay. That I have a link that I want you to look at.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
just posted.
Is this for my research, or you wanted to share it? Ah, oh, nice. Timeline of Earth's average temperature. Share real quick. It's pretty cool. So, yeah, this is actually pretty, wow. Yeah, so I suggest you guys to check that link out, because it's not exactly something I can really share like that, see it, but it's something I'd have to look at and get into. But that's cool. I like that. I'm gonna check that out for sure. I'll put it in my descriptions. But yeah, it's the fact that we had an ice age and then we're out of an ice age should tell them something.
But yeah, if you just look at the trend, it's the trend of it's a far steeper incline of how quickly we're changing. So people say, "Oh, nature does it anyways," but that really it's a good visual to show them how bad it is.
Yeah.
Oh, and then back to the solar panels. My thought is, if oil companies take over it, they'll start selling you crap solar panels that last for a year, and then you have to buy new ones because that's the only way they'll make money.
Yep. Well, see, a
And
lot of
then it's
people
not
didn't.
sustainable anymore.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people don't realize is that those solar farms I was talking about. Those these the largest ones in the world. Remember, they still run off of fossil fuels. They just energized, powered by these solar panels
Mhm.
that help the equipment.
And I
That
just want to comment on Alex's point.
Yep.
There is snow outside, but it's a lot less than there was a few years ago. You may have a couple inches, but last a few 5 years ago, it would have been a couple feet.
okay, but is that us or is that nature?
That's us. If you
How?
well, the just the incline, the how steep we're going up, because we were on a downward curve before the Industrial Revolution. If you look at that,
Hmm.
we were the Earth was cooling, and then it's going the other way now.
Okay,
If
but what about
humans hadn't existed, the Earth would be cooling right now.
okay, but what we assume? Because at the same time, at one point, I mean, if anyone here that lives in the United States, you were under ice back, a long time ago. So I mean, obviously, it had to have heated up. You may get
Yeah,
he may have gotten 2 feet of snow a couple years ago, but a million years ago, we were under two miles of ice.
yes, but we were then we heated up to more than we are now, and then we went way down. We were going down. If you look at that link that I sent
No, no,
before the
I,
Industrial Revolution.
I haven't, obviously I haven't really gone through it because I'm on here right now, but I'm definitely going to. But in my personal opinion, even 150 years of
Just scroll all the
industrial.
way. Scroll. Well, just scroll all the way to the bottom and look at the trend.
Okay, so I'm starting at the 1500s, European Renaissance. Okay. Yeah, but see, from I would say, see, this is, I would say, if anything, it's doing exactly what it's gonna do. Because it went from dark blue and it has increasingly gotten warmer. Now, from 2000 to the predicted 2100, I mean, I'm sure at some point in time there had to have been some flux like we have now that we're not seeing based on the fact that we have minimal data knowledge of what was really going on. But again, I'll look at it because I've scrolled through it, but I haven't really looked at it. wonder if you got kicked or what. Where'd you go? Hey, Jay. Go to that link and down the hill. Not really sure if you got kicked or not.
Oh, I'm back. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, my word, man. I thought maybe a sniper came and got us. Alright, we're good. There we go. Okay, so yeah, like I said, I'm gonna look at it because I can only give you my opinion now, but like you said,
Mhm.
that because that will also send me to other forms of research that can really look at it and get a good idea of it. Just to me, without looking at that so far, the fact that we've only been even recording this stuff since the 50s is another kind of a
Well, we
misnomer.
can look at fossils and see
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
how they live because we know animals' size based
Hmm.
on or the what they would have eaten based on temperature
Yeah, and
and stuff like that.
we can also look at the sediment layers, and we can tell where mass fires and extinctions seem to have happened.
Hmm.
No, yeah, 100%, 100%. I'm not discounting anything you're saying right now, so don't take it as that at all. Um, it's only it's only what I know, and I 100% know there's a lot I got to learn. So it's all it's all good. And
You should also look into natural gas leaking because that's another big thing
now,
that's ridiculous.
now see, because I've heard things about that, but I didn't. So it is actually a huge deal that's not being talked about.
It is.
Yeah, yeah, because
They're leaking and flaring too, just from oil pumping in the ocean. Sometimes they'll just burn the oil off instead of
oh yeah,
using it.
that's actually a huge issue because they people don't realize that 200 miles offshore is what they consider no man's land. So when these oil
But it's
refiners,
not no man's land. It's still our planet.
like, oh, you're 100% right, 100% right. But in their eyes, the U.S., Canada, Japan, no one's gonna sanction them based. No one's gonna take their money. And if you can burn it off faster than they can come to investigate, they're good to go. And unfortunately, every day it happens. Every single day.
Yep. Yeah. So those are probably the geoengineering's a big overall issue, but right now it's just flaring and natural gas leaks.
We'll see. So, realistically, they work hand in hand because if all these natural gas leaks are going on, obviously this geoengineering ain't gonna work. And obviously, we know they're not looking at the right situation. Boggled my mind was I didn't even know this until I started really researching it like deep. I didn't even realize
Well,
half the year CO2 isn't even an issue.
and it's just they try to go after something that people will be like, oh, okay. They're trying to hide that they do flaring and natural gas leaks. So they'll say, oh, we're doing carbon capture when really all they need to do is stop flaring and stop leaking natural gas, and it would be greater than that 2% increase that they get by carbon capture.
Yeah, but yeah. See, it's a whole spectrum of things, and that's actually an area I had I knew was something, but I didn't realize how big of a deal it is. So I mean, hand in hand, I'm learning something else. It's perfect because now I have one more spider web of my research that's only going to help. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and shut down. I want you to come back next time I live stream because I like having you on here. You're smart. You got to be a kid. I'll take that as a yes. But that's my favorite part about what I've realized doing these live streams, and even at Discord, there are these groups of kids. When I say kids, they're 18. I think 18. I think the groupie. What is he, like 14 or something like that? That are borderline geniuses, and it gives me a small smidget of hope. Smidget, small, a little bit. uh, But yeah, um, you've muted yourself. But next time I stream, and matter of fact, I can talk to you. I can talk to you over at Discord. But I definitely want you to come back on because, matter of fact, if you would want to, I'll devote my whole damn live stream next stream to getting information out about that topic. Anybody, you guys have a topic you want to talk about, and it's for real, and I can fact check it. Like I'm gonna fact check. You're more than welcome to come on here and steal my panel and discuss your point. I don't care. I just want this place to be an information based place, and the most important part is the truth. That's it. Follow that guideline, and we're good to go. Again, any denier out there, please step up. Test me. Make me change my mind with facts, though. Because if I'm wrong, I want to know. If you're wrong, I want you to learn. With that said, guys, Jay, thank you, sir. Because I know you're back around again, I'll start sending you that link so you can do what you do. Sasha, man, anytime you're welcome on my panel. I'm talking anytime, whatever topic you want to talk about. But again, I'll talk to you later on because I want to collab about your situation because I know nothing about it and you do, and it is a situation that sounds worth discussing. Who else was in my chat? FPV, thank you, sir, for stopping in. Rising Kane, thank you for the audio help. One Neo, thank you for stopping by. And if I missed you, I apologize. I did not watch the chat very much today, but I had a lot of information to get out there. So with that said, guys, I appreciate it. I hope you guys come back. I apologize for the long wait. I had to, like I said, get my computer up and running. I am back up and running 110%. And did you just do what I think you did? You did, didn't you? Jay,
What are you talking about?
yeah, you did. Did you snipe him?
No, I didn't.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure you didn't snipe him, Jay.
What? See, you think so low of me.
Absolutely.
What?
Absolutely.
What?
Only the
Why would I
lowest.
do so?
But it's with respect. How you doing, man? It's been a while. I mean,
man.
I do banter in your Discord, and I do enjoy and I do appreciate you doing that because you know damn well I got no business being there, but I enjoy myself. So thank you for allowing me to be there.
Oh man, yes, you do it like you just randomly just come out announcement. That is all. I'm like, what?
Oh, I figured what better place than to just get that, like sometimes people have that crazy thought in your brain like you wouldn't say to nobody, but I got a place I can go over there, no one knows me, and I just type the craziest stuff and just leave. I don't show up for another few days.
Exactly.
That's good stuff. I
But
like it over there.
but in the conspiracy Discord is weird because I'm in an argument with this liberal dude, and I'm like, if you take guns away, it will be worse because you cannot stop a person who wants to kill another person.
Oh, you're talking about over at the Truth Frontline one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I was actually involved in that conversation, and what happens is what he did is he uses he's using stats. The problem is that when I first got into it with him, I didn't realize that the population between the UK and the United States was the ratio was so off. That was like, yeah, when there's 40 million in your area and then there's 300 plus million in mine, what do you expect the numbers to look like?
Yeah, exactly. No, but that's not even the half of it. Like when you go and you look up like the actual crimes and whatnot, it's like it says 30,000 people a year die from firearms a year, but what they don't account for is there's actually a website that I just went to not too long ago, and then I posted it. But no, here it is right here. It says 65%, which is 19,500 of those deaths are by suicide, which will never be prevented by gun laws. 15%, which is 4,500, are by law enforcement in the line of duty and justified. 17%, which is 5,100, are actual criminal activity with gangs, drugs related, mentally ill persons, actual gun violence. Then you got 900 are accidental discharges, and then he goes on to say, so technically it's actually 5,100 by gun violence, actual gun violence.
Yeah, it's very. He also came out with a report that said uh, one in or one for every million person is involved in like a gun related incident there. And I go back
Right.
and check it again, and he's like 2016. I'm like 709. It's here's the thing, and I don't care who you are. I don't care what argument you have. Guns do not kill people. The person
Exactly.
behind the gun kills people because they tried to argue to me that my weapon of choice, being for home defense, is wrong. They're like, you have intent to harm. I'm like, no, no, no. I don't have intent to harm. I have intent to
To
defend.
kill.
It's
Yeah.
different. They kill. No, no, no. I can shoot and not kill. Yeah, they're confused. Confused. A lot of confused people got their own agenda without really want to look at the realization of it. Because I told them the fact. Guess what, guys? Criminals can give a shit less about the law.
Exactly. Like it's like like that's kind of retarded because they sit there and say, oh, criminals don't follow the law. Oh, let's make more laws.
Yeah.
And what they don't understand is there may be 5,100 gun deaths to gun violence, but what they also don't understand is that's only in four places. You got Chicago, you got Baltimore. Chicago alone has the highest with 480 homicides, which accounts for 9%. And what's crazy is these are the places that have some of the heaviest gun control. Now, I live in Chicago, and Chicago is strict about guns. And you got Baltimore, which is 344 homicide. You got Detroit with 333, and then you got Washington with 119. So really, it's the places where you have heavy gun control that you have most of these homicides, which is kind of funny.
Yeah. Well, another issue and it's the I think bigger than trying to restrict guns and all that is the fact that the big issue is mental health, mental health, and what is it? Support for veterans and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's huge. Let me see.
That's kind of dangerous. Let then the PTSD, and then all of a veteran that thinks he's back in World War whatever, thinks he's about to go to war because veterans are dangerous. I don't know if you saw the clip from I think it was 1999. There was a cop. He had just started, fresh out of the academy, they say, and then he stopped the veteran, and the veteran was prepared for him. And I don't know what he did or what the plan was, but he pretty much he jumped out of the car. He shot at the cop. Then the cop shot back, but the cop, his aim was bad. Like he didn't hit him not once. The veteran, he used all of his military training, and he killed the cop.
Oh damn!
And yeah, the video was like you could tell he was from some form of military.
But see, that's the thing though. It's not. It, it's hard to say that. It's he. I'm pretty sure when he left, he was fine.
Yeah.
It was what he was put through that made him that way. So to say he's dangerous, I don't think so. I honestly think it's the same thing when you fucking put someone in prison for 30 years and then it's his release date and you just walk him out the door and say have good luck. You seriously
Right.
got to help these people because it's not normal to go to war and then be reintroduced into to public that has nothing to do or no knowledge of war times at all. It's ridiculous to assume that. I mean, shit, if cops can get it, how do you think these Marines are feeling they're coming back?
Yeah, I feel like with cops is I kind of got mixed feelings about cops. Like cops with PTSD.
Why?
I feel like it's not. Cops do have like a rough life. I know that.
You're choppy as. Hang on one second.
They
All right, there
they
you go.
go through. They have, am I good now?
Yeah, you're good now.
So I'm sensitive to.
Say again.
Some of them have to go and investigate dead bodies, and they have to do stuff. But I feel like it's not on the scale as you being in a whole different country.
Oh, no. I don't think anybody tries to compare it, but at the same time, you can't discount it because your job is to talk to somebody who's theoretically broken the law every time you talk to somebody. And then get that. I think I was talking. I don't know if it was you I was talking about it with, but I was talking about somebody where the media hypes these incidents up with the cops and people, and then people in a different state act like they can't trust their cops. That plays a big part on it too.
Oh yeah. The media, yeah, and they choose how they word stuff too.
Oh, 100%.
Like yeah, like if they want to push some sort of agenda, like if like I noticed that. Then there's a guy who brought this point up too. He said he brought up like plenty of videos of white cops shooting white kids and stuff like that. But he says how they will bend it, and when a black cop shoots a black cop, but the only one that makes the news is when a white cop shoots a black person or something like
100%, 100%, 100%. Jay, I'm hungry. I'm tired. You know how I roll.
that.
You gonna be on Discord in a little bit?
Yeah, I'll be on.
I'll see you over there, man. I gotta get something in my stomach.
All right, midget.
All right, Sniper in the Hills. Thank you.
No, definitely.
Peace out, homie. So, guys, I'm out. I'm tired. I've done a long stream. I think I got good stuff out. Sasha, thank you. I just saw your message. I'll talk to you, like I said. That's so. Otai, what's up, my friend? I haven't seen you in a while. I haven't talked to you, but thank you for stopping in. I'm happy you listened in. Spread the word, guys. Please share. I don't care about the likes. I just rather you share it. With that said, guys, how I roll. Peace.
Yeah.
But my legs heavy, I don't get it. How come I haven't hit it already? Still working, I'm still learning, I'm still searching, finally earning something, finally turning something called a profit. If I hear you talking shit, don't get caught in it. I'll be popping off and hit your ass, dropping all your shit. Yeah, I promise this, I got promises. You ain't stopping this, cross my shit, you'll be knocked unconscious, bitch. That's the consequence, I got this, I will not quit. Man, I'm on it, honest. I'm gonna launch quick, then I'm gone. It's just a matter of time before I'm over the prime and moving under my prime. Just quit my 9 to 5, I'm rocking, and they watching, cause it's shocking. Dropping all these top 10 songs, so stopping. It's time to live my life, it's time to live, not die. Wish I could slow down time and just enjoy the climb.